Welcome to Larry's Library, and welcome to a new Top 10 Tuesday. I am continuing to explore all my favorite comic books from the 1980s, and this time we're doing 1984. A little about the year 1984 before we get into comic books. Let's see here. Apple ran their historic Mac ad directed by the legendary Ridley Scott. That commercial ran during the Super Bowl that year. And I think the next day that Mac went on sale for a price of, let's see, I got it in my notes here, $2,500, which doesn't seem that far off from today's prices, does it? That's wild. Madonna performed her hit single "Like a Virgin" on the MTV Video Music Awards in 1984, and it was so overtly erotic, the performance she gave. She humped around on the floor. I mean, it was really something. It outraged a lot of people, and many said this was the end of her career. And of course, it was actually just the opposite of that. Her career went through the roof and just kept going. A few of my favorite albums from 1984, they would include Prince's Purple Rain, The Alarm's Declaration, love that one so much, U2's The Unforgettable Fire, AC/DC's 74 Jailbreak, came out in 84 actually. That was a good one. Stevie Ray Vaughan's Couldn't Stand the Weather came out in 84. So yeah, it was a really good year for music, for sure. And so many great films came out in 1984. I know I'm going to leave some off, and people in the comments are going to kill me, probably, for leaving off their favorites. But some of my favorites and notable ones from 84 was Terminator, the first one. A Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one. Gremlins, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I saw that one in 70 millimeter. It was the most beautiful transfer I've ever seen of a film. It was just unbelievable. And I can't leave off one of my favorite films of all time. One, I had the script committed to memory from start to finish for years. I'm starting to fade now, but I'm talking about Ghostbusters, the first one. That was in 84. I think I must have seen that movie maybe 12 times at the theater before it even hit video. Yeah. Well, I was 16 years old, and these are my top 10 favorite comics of the year 1984. We will get right into it. At number 10, I have Sword of the Atom Special number 1. Now, this was written by, let's see, very difficult for me to pronounce this one. I'll give it a shot, but I'll put it up on the screen. So you can tell me in the comments below how you pronounce this name. I believe it's Jan Strand, something like that, is the writer on this one. But the art is by the incredible Gil Kane, and it is some gorgeous stuff. It really is. This was such a fun story, and I remember that art. It was breathtaking, and it still is today. I recently reread it. Still love this thing, and that's number 10. At number 9, I got another title by DC, which is unusual for me, yeah. Being a Marvel guy like I am. But at number 9, I have Nathaniel Dusk number 1. Now, this was a miniseries about a hard-boiled detective. I believe it's set in the 30s, if I remember right. And it's written by Don McGregor with beautiful art by Gene Colan. And in this one, he does full pencils. There's no inker. And they shot the art, as they say, from the pencils. So there's no inks at all. They colored over the pencils. And it kind of works. I mean, it's a little light. This was very early for that kind of tech in 1984. And I believe the second Nathaniel Dusk miniseries, which came out, I think, a couple years later, maybe the next year, it'll probably be in my next video, and they did the same thing there. They shot it from the pencils. And I think they had developed the technology to do that a little bit better by then, and it came out a little better, a little clearer. I'll show some examples of it here. Maybe I'll run some B-roll or something, but still gorgeous, still beautiful. But they had not really perfected this technique just yet. But you still get the lush, beautiful art of Gene Colan, the master. At number 8, I've got Amazing Spider-Man 252. This is written by Tom DeFalco and Roger Stern, with art by Ron Frenz, and with inking by Brett Reading. So in this one, Spider-Man returns from the trials and tribulations of Secret Wars, and he's sporting a new costume. And so you have this beautiful homage cover that is an homage, of course, to Amazing Fantasy 15. But instead of one person, he's got two kids, and he has the black costume. Pretty great stuff. Very iconic. At number 7, I have Marvel Fanfare issue 15. Now, I no longer own the single this, sadly, but I got it in the big omnibus. Well, I will have shortly when it comes out. Yeah, Marvel is finally giving us Marvel Fanfare omnibuses, and I can't wait for that, to get this gorgeous oversized art in a bigger format. It's going to be great. But there are 2 stories in this one, but the one that causes this book to become number 7 in my 1984 countdown is an excellent story. It's a Ben Grimm solo story written and drawn by Barry Windsor Smith. It's called That Night. And if you haven't read this one, you're missing out. It's really good stuff. At number 6, I have Avengers 244. Now, this is the Roger Stern era of Avengers, so it's written by Roger Stern, of course. In this one, we got art by Carmine Infantino and Al Milgrom, and we have inks by Joe Sennett. So, pretty good combo there. Rom's war with the Dire Wraiths spills over into the greater Marvel Universe, and I was so excited to see this happen, and I just loved it. Check out this crazy cover. I believe that's a Milgrom. Yeah, that's an Al Milgrom cover inked by Joe Sennett, and you got a bunch of the Avengers there gathered around this seemingly giant Dire Wraith creature. Yeah, so this was good stuff. A Rom fan's dream right here. Right in the middle of the countdown, number 5, my top 10 comics of 1984, my top 10 favorite comics of 84, I should specify. At number 5, I've got the very next issue of Avengers 245. Now, really, these could have went in any order, but I wanted them to take up a slot each rather than, 2 and 1. That would be cheating, right? So that's why they're 6 and 5 in the countdown. So Avengers 245 is more of this sort of crossover with the villains from Rom, the Dire Wraiths. And it's, once again, written by Roger Stern. And the art here is by Al Milgrom with inks by Joe Sennett. So really good stuff. I prefer Al Milgrom over Carmine Infantino any day. So I like the art in this one a little better than the last issue. But if you don't know who the Dire Wraiths are, then you haven't read Rom and you need to go do that. The Omnis are out. I think it's out in a couple formats even. It might be a soft cover version. I'm not sure. But yeah, check it out if you haven't read Rom. Go read that. You're missing out on a wild story. At number 4 in the countdown, I have Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, issue number 1. Now, this is the miniseries that came out in 84, written by, of course, Chris Claremont. Who else, right? Penciled and inked by Al Milgrom. 84 is kind of the year of Al Milgrom. He's making my top 10 several times here. And I love this cover. I remember this cover. I never forget this one. This is Kitty Pryde. I had such a crush on Kitty Pryde. I think a lot of people did. A lot of guys, probably some girls, but a lot of people my age probably were crushing hard on Kitty Pryde. And I was no different. And so in this one, it starts out as a Kitty Pryde solo story. She finds out some stuff about her dad's business dealings that lead her to investigate in Japan. And it's a mess. And it ends up, Wolverine ends up getting involved, trying to help her. And I'm not going to give away too much because this is a really delightful story and one that I cherish. I need to get this one autographed. I really do. But yeah, this miniseries is fantastic. I think it might be covered in the Wolverine Omnibus Volume 1. But I have the singles of this and I will never get rid of them. And that's why it is number 4 in the countdown. At number 3, I have Secret Wars number 1. This is the first Secret Wars, not to be confused with the second or the reboot version or the more recent version. But this is the one from 84. This was written by Jim Shooter. The art here is by Mike Zeck with inks by John Beatty, and it is beautiful. And this cover is also by Mike Zeck, and check it out here. My copy has signatures from Jim Shooter and Mike Zeck. Look at that. I love this. They'll tell how much this book is worth, but guess what? I'm not selling. I have this in omnibus as well, but I will never sell my singles. I love this so much. And reading it today, it to be honest, it does not hold up as well as my memory of it, holds up. But it's still fun, and you've got all these superheroes in this crazy secret war, and it's just, it's cool to see them all together. Even if the story's a little bit hokey sometimes, it's very fun. And for that reason, it is number 3 on my countdown. Now, at number 2, I have another issue of Secret Wars. This one is number 10, and this is a very Doom-centric tale. Once again, written by Jim Shooter, with art by Mike Zeck and John Beatty. And this cover, I love this cover so much. This is one of my favorite covers of all time, I think. This is Mike Zeck on pencils, inked by the legendary Terry Austin. No finer inker has existed. Fight me on this if you don't agree down in the comments, okay? But yeah, I love this one. Doom goes up against the Beyonder, and he seems to be decimated, but he actually absorbed power. And for a little bit, Doom is like a god power-wise, and it's awesome. And that's why it's number 2 in my countdown. But at number 1, my very favorite comic, if I have to name one, from the year 1984, well, it's probably Saga of Swamp Thing, issue 21. Now, this is the second issue written by Alan Moore, and the art is by Steve Bissett and John Tottleben. What gorgeous art. I mean, wow. This is damn near the perfect comic book. This combination of crazy, detailed, harrowing story with this beautiful, detailed art by two great artists. So as I said a while ago, this is Alan Moore's second issue, and in this one he inserts one of the biggest and most unexpected retcons, I think maybe in comic books ever, to my knowledge. Certainly at this point, I had never read a retcon this powerful and this well done and this surprising. I mean, for someone that was a fan of Swamp Thing before this point, before Alan Moore took over, and I was a Swamp Thing fan for years before I ever heard of Alan Moore, so I was already a fan of the character. And then Alan Moore comes along and flips his origin on its ear. I mean, I'm not going to give it away. If there are a few people watching this maybe that haven't read Swamp Thing by Alan Moore, I won't give it away, but it will blow you away. Especially if you're familiar with the character before this. You think he's one way, this shows you he's another. And it is wild. Yeah, it's phenomenal. And that is why it's my number one favorite comic book from the year 1984. Hope you enjoyed taking a quick look at these, and feel free to list your favorites from 84 down in the comments. Stay tuned for the next installment will be 1985. Hopefully that'll be next month, depending on how my schedule works out. But hope you like taking a look at these again, and I'll see you next time.